Who's the hot candidates? Well, we've got a couple names at the top of the board that you're going to recognize. Hot candidates. Sean Payton, ex-New Orleans Saints Super Bowl coach, sat out this year to be a TV star, will coach next year. He will be interviewed face-to-face Tuesday by the Denver Broncos. He is number one, I think, on a lot of people's wish lists. However, there's an issue with Sean Payton. He wants to bring his own player personnel people with him. So if you hire that coach, John, you're going to have to probably go into your front office and tell your general manager or your director of player personnel that we're taking away the decision power from your office. You're going to answer to Sean Payton. So that's a big issue as to whether Denver would be willing to give Sean Payton all the keys. Now, Payton's name is also being mentioned in Arizona. So connect the dots on this. No general manager. Steve Keim's gone. Kingsbury's gone. Now, there's a position where Payton could just move in with all of his people and replace the failed front office of the Arizona Cardinals. So keep an eye on that. There's an intangible story. Whoever hires Sean Payton owes compensation to the New Orleans Saints because Payton still had a multi-year contract. We don't know if the compensation is going to be a number one pick. It might be a mid-round pick. We just don't know what the figure is. But whoever gets Payton has to pay a price to the New Orleans Saints. Second guy, Jim Harbaugh. I find this hard to believe because everybody in Ann Arbor just is in love with him for what he's done. I think his record's like 65-14 with the Wolverines, but he keeps casting glances back to the NFL like there's unfinished business from his days with the 49ers. He's had one interview. It was a Zoom interview early this past week with the Denver Broncos. Have not heard his name too many other places. There was a conversation with Carolina, but I don't think he likes what he sees or hears about David Tepper's Carolina Panthers. So maybe Harbaugh winds up in Denver if Payton doesn't get the Denver job. Now, you talked about hot young guys. The flavor of the month, flavor of this year, Stane Steichen. Now, he was quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, San Diego Chargers, LA Chargers, and then went to Philadelphia after the coaching change. And he is now the offensive coordinator of the Eagles. He's held in really high regard. He's going to get interviews. Frank Reich, who a lot of people think was treated really poorly in Indianapolis, has interviewed in Carolina already, led to believe he will interview with the Denver Broncos. Real bright light. And if he doesn't get a head coaching job, he's going to be somebody's offensive coordinator, probably sooner than later. And, when you look at the other names, Dan Quinn, I thought was pretty successful in Jacksonville, but in terms of fixing the franchise, but didn't win. Went to Seattle as a coordinator for Pete Carroll. Now in Dallas, very highly regarded. Probably has earned the chance to get a second opportunity. Hot young guy, defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans. He's the guy that does the X's and O's. Where? San Francisco. And what do? They play defense. DeMeco Ryans going to get probably multiple interviews. And Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator of the Rams, former head coach who failed. He's going to get a chance. In fact, he is interviewing with Denver on Tuesday night after Denver meets with Sean Payton on Tuesday morning. There's a whole laundry list of other guys. Interesting thing. I don't have an explanation for this. We'll put an asterisk next to top candidates. You know whose name is not being mentioned at all, John, for any of the head coaching jobs? Eric Bieniemy, Kansas City. 2 years in a row. He was the hot guy.
Yeah.
Didn't get an offer. He's still a right-hand man doing a lot of creative stuff for Andy Reid. Nobody's interviewing him this year. So I don't know whether it's bad interviews or maybe they just think he's a protege of Reid and he's successful only because of Andy Reid's brilliance. But there is no Eric Bieniemy interview scheduled anywhere that I can find.
Oh, that's a shame. I mean, because he is a terrific, player, a great coach. I mean, his coaching record has been terrific. I mean, so it's a shame that he's not getting a look. You look at all these other guys like Harbaugh as an example. I hear people that in Ann Arbor are worried about Harbaugh leaving because he just gets so much grief from the NCAA. Apparently, he took out one of the recruits and just bought the kid a hamburger, and that is now violating some of the recruiting guidelines. And so Is Harbaugh maybe fed up with all of that, and that's why he wants to go back to the
Well,
NFL?
he did that during the dark period when nobody was allowed to have contact with recruits during the COVID era.
Mhm.
There was a window in which the NCAA shut down recruiting. He's not the only one. There have been other universities that have kind of done some things that got disciplined along the way. I'll be fascinated to see. He's a Michigan man. I'd be absolutely stunned if he left.